looking forward to a discussion with you guys about what's going on with the elections. There's a lot to talk about, obviously. We're very excited to jump into it. Make sure to give us a call at 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. Tio, what surprised you the most?
Well, it's a new day in America right now. You know, but I was not really surprised because I knew that Biden would probably win, but I was surprised about the number of votes that Donald Trump actually secured. Over 70 million votes, you know, so that goes to show you the country is still divided. And that's what's going on. But I was not surprised at all. I think Biden and the country was ready for some type of change. And then by Biden actually pulling off Georgia and Pennsylvania. And like I tell everybody, I have no real personal issues with Trump myself. You know, just being honest, as a man here in America, I'm a patriot. I'm a patriot. I love my country, but I have no issues with Trump. He's never done anything to me personally. I think he's been his own worst enemy, though. And by him being kind of narcissistic sometimes, and his pride goes before the fall.
Well, Tio, I was kind of wondering myself. He was kind of discouraging the early voting. I was like, he was out there having rallies, having thousands of people showing up. Why not encourage them to early vote, bring their ballots, do what they needed to do? And I always was kind of like, what was the thought process there? What was the mentality? And now, he's not conceding. He's looking forward to through some more battles through the state. So that's, I guess, what we're going to have to look forward to going through. But there's some historical context in the movement we're in now, right? Tell us about what excites you about that, or what you're at least hopeful about.
Well, what excites me is Kamala Harris. Kamala, I might not pronounce the name all the way right all the time. I think we
got
right.
4 years to learn how to do that.
Yes, but what excites me, she's an African American lady. She's the vice president for the first time ever in the history of the United States. So that means we're making some progress here. You had Barack Obama, the first African American president of the United States of America, and so the verdict is still out. We'll see what happens when it comes down to their administration, because right now Joe Biden is like 77 years old, and basically I know he's going to need a lot of help to understand all of the current issues in America. See, that's the thing right there. You got police brutality is a hot topic. A lack of economic development is a hot topic. COVID-19 is the hottest topic. I think that's the situation. That's what got Trump voted out of office. They did a poll showing that COVID-19 was a serious issue with most of the people in the nation. They don't feel Trump handled the COVID-19. His response was kind of lacking, in other words. So
they weren't pleased when he went on his limo tour while he had it. That wasn't.
No, people didn't like that. So they showed up at the polls, and that's what happened there.
Well, and I think what we were talking about is with the divisions that need to be healed, that's going to be one of the major things. Obviously, there's still a fair amount of polarization in this country, and we're going to have to look into how, as a community, we're going to be able to address that. And we want you guys to weigh in as well, 773-763-9278. Looks like we've got Eric with a comment for Tio.
Brother Ed called in. Okay, let's bring him on air.
Hey, good afternoon, Tio.
Hey, my man.
Doctor, how are you guys?
Everything's good, Ed. Good to hear from you,
Eric.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, listen, I certainly want to call and just weigh in on the election. The first thing that jumps out to me, gentlemen, is that once again, black people have saved the republic. Time and time again, I think before black people begin to give, the Democratic Party and all of these other people, we made a Herculean effort in the midst of a pandemic and voted like never before. I mean, Jim Claiborne, he actually saved President Biden's campaign. Bernie Sanders had him all but buried. A black man did that.
Okay.
And then we must applaud our sister, Stacey Abrams. Black girl
in Georgia,
is what turned Georgia blue. So once again, now we have to ask ourselves, what's in it for black folks? The Democratic Party has long taken the black electorate, the black vote for granted, and we continue, in every arena to save this country. And although we're in the midst of a national conversation about police accountability, as you know, that's my field at the Tree of Life Justice League. We advocate for dozens of families nationwide whose loved ones have been brutalized, tortured, and murdered by police. But it's difficult for us to be optimistic about a Biden presidency. We are encouraged that the vice president has put forth the Justice in Policing Act, but will that go a long way towards actually stopping racist killer cops from lynching those American citizens that have been kissed by the sun?
Wow.
Will it stop the police from patrolling our communities like Gestapo SS troops being judge, jury, and executioner? So we have a lot of work, Brother Tio and Doctor, and we're just cautiously optimistic at best.
I appreciate you, Brother Eric. And yeah, my co-host, his name is Brother Raza Siddiqui, okay? Raza Siddiqui,
Okay,
Brother Eric.
Siddiqui.
Eric, I'm going to ask you,
sir.
because I followed some of your work with Tree of Life Justice. What do you see as some of the conversations that can be had? What do you see as some of the positive movements that there can be done to make sure that people aren't forgotten? Is the answer defund the police as being cried out there? Is it more funding for more training? Is it more community interaction? How do you envision this conversation and this movement moving forward to something that might be more suitable for the communities that, as you said, have saved the Republic but have been left behind? Save the Republic because what other choice do they have?
Good question, Brother Eric. What are your thoughts?
Yes, that's a great question. And there's really a plethora of things that really just need to be done as it relates to, I'll start with defund the police. I think that is mischaracterized because I just think that's a poor choice of words. You know, whoever coined the phrase should have just had a better understanding of the King's English, because we're not anti-police. We're just anti-bad police. And defunding the police is more about the reallocation of funds to support the infrastructure of social services, and because 40% of all police-involved shootings does involve a mental crisis. So the police are killing people that are having a mental crisis, but yet they're closing social services in the black community. You know, we have to concern ourselves about the militarization of the police. And here in Chicago, where we're at, the Chicago police haven't had a contract since 2017, and their present contract allows them to continue with police crimes based on other lack of transparency.
All right.
I think the most daunting thing, Brother Siddiqui, in closing, is that we had 70 million people that voted for a racist, misogynist, xenophobe like Donald Trump, who did not have a problem with the person he was. So who are these people? They are dark web people. We don't know who they are, and 20% of black men were misguided and voted for them. So what we need white people to do more than march and protest with us. We need them to help us dismantle white supremacy.
Thanks a lot, bro.
That's at the core of where we're at.
Yes. Well, that's the American activist, Raza. He's the American activist. That's what they call Eric Russell.
Eric Russell, thank you for calling in, and thank you for weighing in on the perspective. Really gives us something to talk about, and it looks like we have a lot of people waiting to talk to us about it.
People calling in.
Tio, who do we have next?
I think the brother from the 630 number, Sammy.
Sammy
might have called in first.
Yeah, you are on.
Yeah.
With Tio Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui. What you got for us, Sammy?
Hi, I'm not a brother. I'm a sister, but I'm calling in from the northwest suburbs. I really enjoy what you guys were talking about earlier. I was wondering, we talked about Black Lives Matter, we talked about police, but how do we fix our economy? I mean, this was something that Donald Trump got a lot of credit for fixing the economy until, it tanked with the pandemic, with coronavirus. How do we go ahead and do this? We're not going to be in we're not going to be in the pandemic for that long, right? We're going to try to find a way to move out of it. What do you think the Biden-Harris administration is going to do to help fix our economy and put the jobs right back into where we need them most?
Well, Sammy, first of all, I disagree with you in that I think the pandemic might actually be a foe that we contend with quite a while. Tio, you and I were talking about this offline a little bit.
Right.
We're seeing numbers like we've never seen before, and I think it would be somewhat irresponsible to discount that when we look at opening the economy. But what do you think?
Well, there's been a resurgence, Sammy, of COVID-19 in Chicago, especially over 1,400 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 over the last 7 days. But in regards to the economy, the coronavirus pandemic is really really it's a struggle nationwide. Here in Chicago, Cook County will never be the same. I mean, businesses are, people are going out of business. Restaurants, even the Cheesecake Factory, they closed their entire restaurant chain down. That's just one major restaurant chain, right? So what you're saying, Sammy, I do agree with Sammy, because President Trump, no matter what people had to say about him, there were some gains here in the economy. Now, it was predicted that over 2 million people would die from COVID-19, and under President Trump, 230,000 people. One death is too many, don't get me wrong, but Trump, he did some good things with the economy, but I think Trump was his own worst enemy. He never would stick to the script. And by him just basically saying whatever's on the top of his head or on his mind, it kind of hurt his progress a little bit. So he would probably go down in history as one of the worst presidents, because if you really analyze his administration and some of the gains Trump did with the economy, I think he deserves just a little bit of credit there. Some people may be mad at me for saying that, but I'm looking at his administration and some of the good points, but he has a whole lot of negative as well to kind of balance it out. So he can't win for losing, and that's why he lost the election.
Well, and again, we really need to take a place in how the economy is going to move forward. We have a beautiful day here in Chicago. If you're listening in Chicago, looks like quite a few people are. We have a lot of calls that we are going to get to. And again, if you want to join the conversation, 773-763-9278. But I say that to say it's a beautiful day. People are out there enjoying. Yeah. Chicago, the weather changes like that, right? It's going to change. It's going to become cold. These restaurants are going to have a tough time. So even on a very local level, we need to figure out how to keep this economy going, how to make sure that there are gains. And I'd be curious to see how the new administration is going to tackle some of this. I'm sure they are going to be releasing that shortly. But
Sammy and Brother Raza, I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, this was going on. What's happening here is this. Over in Canada, the citizens of Canada, they receive a check for $2,000 a month because of coronavirus. They're taking care of their citizens there. They have free health care there as well, like in Switzerland. So the bottom line is that what needs to happen in the United States, this might not be the most popular statement I'm about to make, but I just believe that the billionaires out here that have run for office, they should put some of their money in the economy. I'm not just talking about state or federal money. Put some of their own personal money in the economy. Help us rebuild some of these communities and try to find a way to keep some of these restaurants afloat. One of the NBA players out of New Orleans, I forget his name, he paid the salaries for all the people that work at the stadium, like where they play basketball, he paid their salaries for like maybe 30 days because the people they couldn't go to work because coronavirus had the stadium shut down. So, Sammy, in order to boost the economy, all these billionaires, even Donald Trump, he's not the president anymore, but he's a multi-billionaire. Put some of your own personal money in some of these economies, maybe in New York, where he used to live and all that kind of stuff there. Whatever he can do, that's one way. But then we need to look at other ways to create more opportunities, because we live in the world today. It's more like everything is just transitioned to online, Sammy. So that's a whole nother long discussion. I appreciate your call, though.
Absolutely, and it looks like I said, we have a lot more calls coming in. So let's see. Yeah. We got Jim waiting on the line to talk to Tio Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui. Jim, you're on. What's going on?
Hi, guys. Trump had a homicidal approach to this disease. We have two huge allies. We have the South Koreans, who we lost 57,000 men over. In Japan, we lost 2.5, about 250,000 men. Both of those countries have a coherent program for COVID. They have 1% of our deaths. We're losing 100 people a day in Chicago.
Wow.
I've been locked in my apartment for 10 months, and I've been in jail a couple of times overnight, but I've never been in jail for 10 months.
Yes, indeed.
My point being, he had a homicidal. We were better off with John Wayne Gacy handling this pandemic. I guarantee you, Biden will have a program tomorrow duplicating South Korea, Japan. We'll be tested. We'll have masks. We'll save lives. We'll have an open economy. And that's it. This man had a homicidal approach to it. And how many deaths he deserved, God only knows. He had open-aired things where 700 people got it. The whole White House.
Jim, I'm gonna cut you off for a second to ask you, what about personal accountability? But what about the fact that multiple people in various states refused? In this state alone, we have people coming in.
The Republicans refused to wear a mask. Even in the little town that I'm in Chicago, I could tell people that the Republicans wouldn't wear a mask. Trump goaded them into not wearing a mask.
Okay.
It was all there was to it. He wouldn't wear a goddamn mask. You know that.
I understand that.
But he went into The hospital up in Minnesota.
Because even Trump, when he was, well, you know, Jim, when Trump was dying,
the man wouldn't put a mask on. He wouldn't. He was homicidal. He's homicidal.
Yeah, I got you.
He's absolutely homicidal. You'll see. They'll write a book about him. He killed more people personally than anybody on this planet.
Again, Jim, I'm going to rein you back because, again, personal accountability, right? It's very easy to have a target and state that it's for that, but where do we stand on that personal accountability?
Where's the pandemic book? Where's the pandemic book that Obama talks about? How come that went out the window? Is that under his bed with the Bible? Is that in the Lincoln Park room, the pandemic book? Did that go out the window?
Yeah, but Trump, Jim, let me say this to you, Jim.
I'm sure Biden will find the pandemic.
Yeah.
We need the pandemic. We're in the bowels of a pandemic. We're in the bowels of it.
Well, Trump made some missteps because when he was diagnosed with COVID-19, he left the hospital early. By him being the commander-in-chief, he should have showed by example. So he made a few mishaps, if you ask me.
He did a little tour, as I recall, right? Putting some Secret Service and other government personnel at risk. Yeah. And Jim, I'm not going to disagree with you that there were probably things that could be handled differently. I will always state that personal accountability always needs to be taken into account as well. And it's very easy to finger point, but look what we as a society need to do to better it for everyone.
But just remember, Dr. Fauci had predicted that 2 million people would die from COVID-19. A worldwide pandemic, and only 230,000 people have died. You know, probably a few more now. But like I say, one death is too many. And I don't know when Trump got the information and all that. Everything that's out there about Trump. And there's a new word I'd like to introduce: deniability, something like that. Because Trump is in heavy denial. He refuses to concede that he lost the race. And I could see if he had 268, electoral votes, and then if he had won Pennsylvania and Georgia or whatever, and Biden may have had, it was real close with 270, 272 or whatever. But the thing is, that's not the case. It's time for Trump to step down and show by example and become the bigger person for one time in his life. For one time in his life, become the bigger person, step down. And
we are going to discuss if we actually think that's going to happen. Right after these commercial breaks, we have a bunch of people waiting on the line, and we are going to get to you right after these breaks.
Yes, sir.
The minority groups in America are severely affected by COVID-19 due to healthcare and economic inequities. Chicago, now it's your time to make a difference in your community and join the fight against this global pandemic. Loretto Hospital, in partnership with Affinity Health, are seeking healthy volunteers to find a potential COVID-19 vaccine. Interested participants can call 877-L-TRIALS or visit chicagocovidvaccine.com to learn more.
Megan Financial is an independent retirement and financial services firm dedicated to the working men and women of organized labor. Megan provides straightforward, custom-fit financial advice and specializes in defined benefit and defined contribution pension plans, as well as participant and retiree health and welfare benefits. Megan Financial has the knowledge and experience to navigate the union member through all phases of life. Call 708-444-1090.
Securities and advisory services offered through Cetera Advisors LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity. Office location at 5321 South 94th Avenue, Orland Park, Illinois, 60462.
Ever wonder about the story behind the story? Who are the people you watch delivering the news, filming the scenes, and putting pen to paper to tell the story you read in your morning paper? Tune in to Media Essential Workers on Facebook and YouTube to find out. With constant changes in the Chicago media landscape, one reliable source keeps track of the people bringing you the stories. Media Essential Workers, the premier live stream telling the story of the storytellers. Sunday nights at 7. Like, subscribe, and follow Media Essential Workers to find out about special shows during the week. Hosted by Raza Siddiqui, Media Essential Workers gets the story of the storytellers.
You're on Against the Grain with Raza Siddiqui, Tio Hardiman. Looks like we got quite a few callers in. Yes. I had no idea that we'd engage this kind of fury and vicarious discussion. You can join this discussion, 773-763-9278. We're talking about all issues related to the election, the pandemic, and how the new administration can address this. We got a couple of calls coming in. Let's see who you want to get to next.
I think Roosevelt's been holding on. Then we'll get to Tony and Roosevelt Al and David, and we got Dath calling in. But yeah, Roosevelt for starters.
Yeah, Roosevelt, you're on with Tio Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui, Against the Grain.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
Anytime.
Two things that I have to set straight. This number of 2 million, where did that come from? I'm going to read you. This is not Roosevelt talking. This is PolitiFact. I'm going to read you. I'm going to start right now.
Okay.
The number is taken from models that predicted how many people would die if there was no mitigation.
Okay.
So this number is false. It's taken from, it was no mitigation, no masks, no ventilators, no nothing in all of our 50 states. So I'm going to set that straight.
Appreciate you.
As far as the economy, Trump took advantage of the coattails that were laid to him by Obama. How do I know that? Not Roosevelt talking again. 75 straight months of positive job creation. Now, Trump took that and took credit. He takes credit for the good stuff, but doesn't take credit for the bad stuff that happens under his presidency.
So
now,
I think you're stating that he doesn't take the blame, but going forward...
It started in February. He was interviewed by Bob Woodward. He told Bob Woodward, we thought that he was ignorant to the virus. No, he knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted no mitigation, but what got in the way? The CDC and Fauci. Fauci told him we got to send masks. So we were short on masks because he sent a lot of masks to China. There is Pompeo video of him saying we donated tons, 18 tons to be precise, of PPE.
Wow.
Okay? So this thing about this 2 million, I am so tired of hearing Trump and still this goes on. That is totally false, my brother.
No, we appreciate your call, Roosevelt. This is important.
Thinking if there was no mitigation.
Okay, no mitigation. Got it.
Because he created not the virus, but he didn't act. He wanted no mitigation. And you know one thing, I'm going to close it with this. Let's see what he does in the next 74 days. See what he does as far as this virus. See if he goes out in class, like you said, with his nose up in the air and say, hey, I done something. He hasn't done nothing to mitigate this virus.
Roosevelt, let me ask you this. I know you want to close up. I want to keep you on the line because you have a lot to say about the previous administration. How do you think that the new administration can lead these challenges? Obviously, what is next for the economy, and how are you going to do so in a healthy fashion? You've been able to look at the facts. What are the trends? Forecast what you believe is the way to go.
Can I answer?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, you are.
Can I answer? The economy depends on how we control this virus. If you don't control this virus, you're going to have to shut it down. The more the numbers go up, look what our governor's doing in Illinois. Why do you think he shut down the restaurants? Because the numbers keep on going up, my brothers.
Well, let me play the devil's advocate, Roosevelt, with you. This is a devil's advocate question for you. Roosevelt, one second. Roosevelt, 1 second, brother. Just 1 second. You still on there. Just give me a minute. Is there any proof positive that when people go to restaurants, is there any data that proves that you can contract the virus by going to a restaurant? Talk to me, Roosevelt.
Yes. And this is not me. This is not Roosevelt again. Yes, there was a study done that the more people that you have in close quarters, that's why we have outdoor dining.
Yes.
The more you have people in close quarters, the more the chances you can. I don't dare go to any restaurants, in or outside, because I have diabetes. So I don't even take a chance.
Okay,
because
gotcha.
Here's the thing, guys. Wearing a mask is the number one protection. It's just like sex. Wearing protection, you don't get in trouble. Simple.
Roosevelt, I'm going to play devil's advocate, too. I know you had another point to make, but let me ask you this. Governor Pritzker did close the economy down. He instituted the stay-at-home very early, but you look at the numbers now, and Illinois is still very high up there. What do you attribute that to? I mean, the state in that capacity did what you would state would be, everything right or not?
I'm glad you asked that question, and here it goes. We are moving into where everybody is indoors, correct?
Yes, correct.
It got cold the past month. It got cold. Now, all of a sudden, it's warm. So all of a sudden, everybody's out. That's a factor. You got to put that in perspective. Another thing, when all this has started, Trump divided the states. Quote, this is what Trump said: "I'm not going to help the states where there's Democratic governors." Fact.
Okay.
So he divided this country as far as his protection of PPEs. As a matter of fact, he was stealing PPEs, confiscating PPEs, and sending them to Texas, Florida. That is a fact. His son-in-law was doing that.
Okay, brother. We appreciate you, brother Roosevelt. We appreciate your call.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, Roosevelt. Thank you for the discussion. And we got Death, actually, who says that you cannot blame Trump for the COVID deaths. So that's going to be an interesting, I think, juxtaposition to our last call with Roosevelt, don't you think,
Yes,
Tio?
indeed. Yeah, let's bring him on, and then we'll get to everybody else. Tony hanging there and Al hanging there, along with David. We'll get to you in a few minutes here, okay? Just hanging there with us. Death?
Hey, this brother Fatah, man.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
What's up, man? Yeah, Fatah. So,
yes.
What I said to the caller, the screen caller, is that, man, what I do for a living, I'm out here in the street every day.
Yeah.
And I see people not practicing social distancing, especially in the black community. I see it every day, man. On the west side, on the south side, people gathered around 6, 7, 8 in a group, smoking blunts.
Yeah.
Taking drinks with one another. Now, not wearing masks, and ain't no telling once you go home, are you washing your hands? Are you taking some vitamin D? So you can't sit up, we shouldn't sit up here and blame the president and not take personal responsibility, man.
That's that personal accountability. That's that personal accountability, and that's always that discussion. How easy is it to blame someone else rather than have that discussion about what we can do? So you've witnessed this. What do you do?
Yeah, what's the message you would take to the young people out there, brother, when it comes to them protecting themselves? What would you, if you had an audience of about 200 young people right now, what would you tell them?
Or 9 counties as against the Great Reach. Reach out to those 9 counties, give them some advice.
Give them some advice, bro.
Man, the advice is you shouldn't be in groups.
Okay.
That's the advice, and wear a mask. And when you get home, wash your hands and take some vitamin D. That's the advice, man. But that's something that the CDC and even the politicians never tell us, man. They just say wear a mask. It's not that simple. You have to make sure your hands are clean. You can't be going around touching doors. Man, I do Uber Eats. That's what I'm saying. I'm in the streets every day. I see people grabbing doors with no gloves. I see people going to restaurants with no mask. I see people gathered in groups every day in all races, but specifically among black people, man. So you can't sit up here and blame the president. Even when the president shut down the flights to and from China and Europe back in February,
yes, indeed.
People were saying he was acting like a damn dictator.
Yes.
And I ain't saying the man did everything right.
That's right.
I'm not saying the man did everything right. But when he did that, people had a damn problem with it. People still wanted to go travel and do what they want to do because the freedom that we exercise in this community, man, it's all about taking personal responsibility. And as far as the new administration, I haven't heard any specific plan on what they're going to do, man. I mean, it all comes down to personal responsibility.
All right. Well, now, thank you.
Blame the government, man.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying earlier. That was my main point, about everything. So I appreciate you on your points there, brother, okay?
All right, brother. Tio.
Yes, sir.
Roger, thanks, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Anytime. Thanks for weighing in. We got a lot of calls to get to, so we are going to go to Al in Rosemont that's got some comments actually for you, Tio.
For me, and then we get to Brother David out of San Francisco, and then we get everybody else. Yeah, Brother Al, Rosemont.
How you doing, Tio? How you doing? Awesome speaking with you.
Yes.
My point is, what do we really have to gain at this point? And I'm going to say this. There's no stimulus coming. There's not going to bail out the states. The unemployment is going to get messed up inside of this. The eviction moratorium is going to run out.
Yes.
They gained control of the Senate. They're still in Senate. They picked up more seats in Congress, 300 federal judges, and control of the Supreme Court with Barr and Giuliani. So what do we think we're going to gain out of this?
That's a good question, to be honest with you. So, like I said earlier on when we first came on the show, I say the verdict is still out right now, and I'm I'm optimistic, and I noticed that President Biden said that it's all about it's time to heal now. But me being an African American man, born and raised in Chicago, I've never seen anything that the African American community has benefited when it comes down to redevelopment, economic development, South and West Side Chicago, even throughout the state, going to East St. Louis, and even Baltimore, the cities of Baltimore, Philadelphia, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri. I've traveled to 40 states within the United States. I've seen most of the most urban areas, and the black community looks the same all over the place, even in Miami. Okay, so I would love to see some real economic changes in the urban community, especially Black America, Latino America. You got some issues there too, as far as a lack of economic development. So there's a lot of work, and when Eric called in, the American activist, he said how African American people helped save the election for the Democrats. So I believe it's incumbent upon the Democrats now to really put something real tangible out there for African American people. Okay.
Right. How do we hold that administration accountable, right? It's one thing to get someone in there who you think could actually have that conversation and discuss, but then you got to hold their feet to the fire. We talk about this actually in the labor movement with unions all the time, too. It's one thing we support a certain party, a candidate sometimes, but then how do we hold them accountable? How do we remind them that it's us who stepped up and got them into office? Tio, I know you've worked a lot with politicians, with different people, activists. What is the first step that you do to stay relevant and stay on top of the fact that, hey, we got you in there. Now it's time to remember us.
Well, that's when you form a voting block. See, now the hidden people in Illinois, like when I ran for governor, there's 1.7 million people living in poverty in Illinois. 33% are white. People don't talk about people that are white living in poverty. They think a lot of people white have white privilege. That's not the case for all the white people in this nation. You got a lot of working class white people doing the best they can do to survive. The same with the Asian community, the same with the Latino and the African American community is hit a lot with a whole lot of other issues. But my main thing is holding people accountable. Miss Abrams out of Georgia, she helped deliver the black vote, Stacey Abrams. So therefore, she should hold Biden and Harris, their administration, accountable for some of the ghetto areas in Atlanta and the ghetto areas all through Columbus, Georgia, so you have issues out there, and it's important that the president-elect would appoint people that will stop just looking out for everybody that's already in the inner circle and start looking out for people that's not in that circle.
Well, Tio, I've always said this. What I respect about you is that you're an activist. I know you ran for political positions. I've never viewed you as a politician because I view politicians as those, at least in my experience, I could be wrong, it might not always be the case, but who make the promises to the people they need to make those promises to get the vote. But then once they get in the office, all of a sudden, wait, who's calling me on my cell phone? You need to have someone like an activist, someone grassroots who are held accountable for what they do in the community. And I think they're absolutely right. These voting blocks and finding that way to hold them accountable and their feet to the fire is what we got to do going forward.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate that call.
And we got a couple more calls coming up. It looks like we got Paul from LaGrange. Paul, you're on with Tio and Raza on Against the Grain.
Yeah, Paul.
Great talking to you guys. Yeah, this is me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're sounding great. What you got?
All right, so here we go. So back to the comment about masks. Masks are really to prevent your supply, your infection to go to somebody else. They may not necessarily protect you based on hand washing and all the other mitigation that goes with it. But President Trump could have simply supported a mask mandate, and even though mask mandates are more of a recommendation than a requirement, it still would have been a good cohesive thing for him to tell people what to do rather than making some sort of political statement about infringing on your freedoms, because it wasn't infringing on your freedoms. He wasn't telling you couldn't do anything. He was telling you if you would do it, it would be helpful. And then secondarily to his re-election or to his defeat and then to Biden's election, it's going to be an uphill battle for Biden because he is going to be a one-term president. So he's kind of going in as a lame duck.
Yes.
But number two, he is going to be up against a senatorial problem because same thing that Barack Obama was his term. And then number three, since he is looking like a lame-term duck, people are looking at the 2024 election more so than they are anything else. Who's going to run against them in 2024? We have to really come to terms.
I'm going to take a step back and say right now it's not even about that. Right now it's like President-elect Biden said, it's about reaching out to unity. But how are we going to actually carry that goodwill, like you said, into the future? How are we going to carry that goodwill as we approach some of these challenges and unite? Let's not even look to 2024. Let's look to the challenges we have right now in 2020 when we're trying to bring a faction of the country that's very polarized and very different than the other. How are we going to bring that so we can even get to 2024 as one republic?
I think that they're going to have to use the might and the success of Joe Biden's political career Joe Biden, or I would say Republicans, are going to have to look across the aisle and want to know that they did not necessarily support Donald Trump's position if they had nowhere to go. Because if they were with the Democrats at the time, they weren't the president. So the president, Biden, is going to have to reach across to those moderate Republicans who don't like Trump but didn't have a place to go to have safe harbor, because ultimately you'd be against for the president and all the other Republicans. So there are Republicans in that Senate and the House of Representatives that do not like Donald Trump.
Okay.
So at least now they have something they can build some sort of relationship with and pass legislation for their district or their state with the help of Democrats to get it done. That's how you can build a coalition.
Yeah, that's what it's about, a grassroots coalition, Raza. Very, very important. That's the way you win elections. That's the way you stay in office as well. And then you uplift the people from the bottom to the top instead of from the top to the bottom.
Right.
And you build that coalition. You build that. If you don't heal that divide, you at least work on it. You have that dialogue, you have that discussion, and potentially you have that movement that could move the country maybe in a position that we need to move to. Maybe the one good thing that came out of all this is that we are now in a position where we can have an honest dialogue and not hide behind these pretenses, not be so politically correct and be like, okay, this is how you really feel. Let's have not a fake discussion now, but something where we can move forward to.
Move America forward. Well, we appreciate it. Yeah.
And I will tell you that the invention of Donald Trump's reality presidency will now give people the ability to have free and fresh dialogue, because that guy said anything to anybody. So now there's nothing's wrong if somebody says something in the Oval Office or on the street, because he did break that golden egg right from the day one. You know what I mean? A ridiculous sentence coming out of a Democrat's mouth or Republican's mouth. Nothing will compare to what Trump said in the last 5 years.
Appreciate your call for sure, Brother Paul. Have a good conversation there.
Oh no, absolutely, Tio. Who do you want to get to next?
David's been holding on from San Francisco for quite some time. Let's get David in.
That's a long distance call too.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about, Brother David. You're on the air.
Hey, well, not too bad. Yeah, we got a nice day out here, but I'll tell you, 2 states over from you in Ohio, things are spiking fast. It was 4,200 new cases a day on Thursday, and by Saturday it was 5,500 new cases a day.
Are you talking about Nevada?
No, Ohio.
Oh, because you're in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm talking 2 states over from you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and I was calling, I just got off a call in Jim Jordan's district, and boy, they slammed down the phone when I don't know if you heard top of the hour news, former Governor Kasich of Ohio.
Yeah.
He's trying to play the middleman role, saying, if the Democrats would only capitulate to everything that the Republicans want, will be nice. Yeah, right. I mean, from the lunch money thieves. But the 20, for the state of Ohio to have a spike like that, and the governor isn't even offering health care to his own citizens, and he's playing blackmail with the rest of the nation.
Wow.
David, I think this is something that we need to talk about. We need to have a whole kind of a mini segment on it. We're running up against the break, so please do hold on. We're going to finish this thought with you, and we're going to remind our other listeners as well. Call in at 773-763-9278. Again, 773-763-9278. We have David from San Francisco. We're going to answer his questions and have that dialogue right after these commercial breaks.
Yeah, we want Tony to hang in there, too. We'll get to you in a minute, Tony. All right.
Are you interested in being one of the first participants in a COVID-19 vaccine clinical trial in Chicago? Affinity Health is currently seeking healthy volunteers who may be eligible for a COVID-19 investigational vaccine study. This will take place at the Loretto Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. We are looking for people who work as teachers, factory workers, retail workers, or anyone exposed to many people during their workday. Visit ChicagoCOVIDVaccine.com or call 877-L-TRIALS to learn more. That's 877-587-4257. Life, Love, and the Grind is proudly sponsored by Rich Lewandowski and our friends at Breaker Press, Chicagoland's top choice for union printing. We're a third-generation family-owned business that has been helping unions and political campaigns win since 1976. We've been involved in hundreds of winning elections, and we get our printed materials to you on time and on budget every time. Whether you're running for the courthouse or the White House, we will take you from concept to design and from print to mail or your supporters' front yards. Breaker Press can help you reach the voters you need. Call Rich at 773-852-5733 or email rich@breakerpress.com. For all of your political printing needs, visit us at breakerpress.com.
Megan Financial is an independent retirement and financial services firm dedicated to the working men and women of organized labor. Megan provides straightforward, custom-fit financial advice and specializes in defined benefit and defined contribution pension plans, as well as participant and retiree health and welfare benefits. Megan Financial has the knowledge and experience to navigate the union member through all phases of life. Call 708-444-1090.
Securities and advisory services offered through Cetera Advisors LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity. Office location at 5321 South 94th Avenue, Orland Park, Illinois, 60462.
Against the Grain with Tio Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui. We're taking callers today, and you can be part of those calling lists at 773-763-9278. We are actually talking to David on our long-distance line from San Francisco, who's talking about what's happening in Ohio. David, let's finish that thought.
Well, the overall spike all across America is going up fast. It was only a little over a week ago that it was at, 100,000 a day, and now it's like 136,000 a day.
Wow.
And then in Ohio, it's gone from, 4,200 on Thursday to 5,500 on Saturday. So it is going up fast. And I don't know if you've ever studied land grabs, but the best way, or I shouldn't say the best way, if you want to get land cheap, wait for somebody to get sick and have high medical bills, and then you can come swooping in and buy them out at, pennies on the dollar by getting them sick. Now, you create an epidemic. Real estate developer Trump knows that if an epidemic happens, he can just roll in it, man. He can just snap up any property at 10 cents on the dollar. And that's what he did. He got, through disaster declarations or through blighting definition, he got counties and cities to give him land as redevelopment properties. So if he causes, division and white flight and all sorts of bigotry and then declares a neighborhood blighted, he'll steal that land. And then you got Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin. He's the guy that in the subprime scandal 12, 13 years ago, he's the guy that ended up with the most deeds.
David, I'm going to ask you, what evidence for any of this, right? That sounds like a conspiracy theory. A lot of things sound like it's plausible this could happen. It's plausible that could happen. I mean, what type of evidence would we have for any of this? It just seems like a very kind of...
Look at the land transactions. I mean, you could basically just follow it. And when you start, you could look regionally. I remember, I'm baby boom, so I can remember the Jerry Ford when the farmers were losing their land. I can remember the savings and loans crooks. Now, the savings and loans crooks might lead to how you would study evidence like that, because they took the census data and they were looking for the wealthiest neighborhoods across America, and then the wealthiest neighborhoods that had savings and loans, and then they targeted those savings and loans they set them up for a fall. And then when they fell, a whole bunch of people who had loans in those savings and loans ended up losing their houses. So, the Republicans and you study the savings loans, it goes to George Bush, the dad, that happened in Ronald Reagan, that, many of the same figures were involved in it, actually. And
David, I got to say this. If that is the case, then thank God for a new day, right? So we can move past this. We can see what else we have coming up and hold the new administration accountable. Thank you very much for weighing in and giving us a little education on land transactions. We got Tony from the Southside elections coming up. He's got some comments. Tony, you're on with Tio Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Tony.
Just fine.
Yes.
Okay, how you doing? Yeah, I know of you, Tio. I know a brother named, you know Tony Lyles?
Yeah, I know Tony Lyles, yes.
Okay, well, I got a cousin named Antoine. You probably know him. And
more than likely.
Paul. Little Paul and Stella was my sister.
Small world, Tio.
Small world.
Everyone knows everybody around here.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about with the community, right? We're talking about
the community together, right.
We got to come together.
Can I talk? Let me talk.
Okay.
But,
it's all you, Tony. Talk to us.
Now, as far as talking about the economy, how are we going to have a good economy when the Defense Department has a budget of over $700 billion, and at the same time you're giving the wealthiest people are in excess of $1 trillion tax cut? But the thing is, I think that what we now really need to do is focus on, I'm saying, like all roads lead to Georgia, those two runoffs, in order to shift the balance of power in the Senate. Until we get a good grip on that, at least get a 50-50 tie, the Democrats and Republicans in the Senate, to where Kamala Harris can have a tie-breaking vote. Until we get that, I think a lot of resources from celebrities and politicians, Democrats, and everything, that should be on the top of the list behind, controlling this pandemic, is to get them to support them two senators, so it could be a great possibility for them to win the runoff. That's right. I think one of our greatest barriers right now is the Senate.
Without a doubt, I definitely, yes, I appreciate your call, brother. And then I must say, I concur with you. That's one of our biggest challenges. But when it comes down to the military, like I say, I'm a patriot. I'm a citizen here in the United States, born, I'm here, the bottom line. And I know that the fall of the Roman Empire was because they had to start hiring German mercenaries to come and fight their wars for them. So if the United States, if we plan to be here for the next 200 years, we need a strong military. That does not mean we need to use it on anybody, though. Let me make that clear. We know about all the different wars in the world, so I'm not a person that wants to use it, but at the same time, you have to be strong in order to survive the next 200 or 300 years. Trust me, because all of the powerful empires have been destroyed over time anyway. So somebody's going to invent, I'll just say this quickly, then we get to another quick call. Like the Chinese, when they invented the crossbow and gunpowder, that made them a superpower, way back in ancient times, okay? And talk about Genghis Khan and all the different empires throughout the world, all right? Alexander the Great. So here we go. All right, you want to take another call, Brother Raza?
Yeah, we'll take another call. We're talking about community, how close community could be. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Looks like we have someone that I may know.
Yes.
We got Myra on the line. Myra,
cool.
You're on with Against the Grain with Tio and Raza.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Hi, Dad. I just wanted to tell you, my VP looks like me.
Yeah.
Your who looks like what?
My VP looks like me.
That's right.
Her VP looks like her.
That's good. That's cool.
You know what? Thank you for that excellent observation, Myra.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well,
that was good.
Tio, for once, I got no words. I don't know what to say, so I'll let you take it from here.
Well,
But again, it is a new chapter, and I think what Myra reminds us, Myra is an 8-year-old, and I think what she reminds us there's a lot of inspiration in what the vice president is, being of Jamaican and Indian ancestry, taking on that role, a one-of-a-kind, first-time thing. I think we can't forget the inspiration, not just what's happening currently, but the message that it serves to the younger generation coming up who can relate to this. Right now they're looking and thinking, this is not out of power for me. This is not something I cannot attain. She's looking and saying that the vice president looks like me.
Well, what's good about it, Raza, I appreciate your daughter calling in, because that's what you call a game changer right there. She's inspired because the vice president, for the first time in the history of the United States, period, okay? And God bless me. I got a chance to meet Queen Noor from Jordan a few years ago at the Canadian Embassy, within my, lifespan.
I wish you had taken me with.
And what was funny about it is that the Secret Service, I don't know what they call the people that work for her security, but they say, you can't take no picture, can't get close up on the Queen. I have a picture with the Queen hugged up like she's my girl. Okay.
Damn, like I said, I wish you took me.
Now, I come from the west side of Chicago. There's nowhere in the world you're going to deny me, right? But the thing is this here, is that your daughter, she made a lot of sense. And so now I believe that Kamala Harris, by her being the vice president, she's going to inspire a totally new generation of young women, of color and all over the place. My thing is, it's about humanity. And whoever's in that office, as long as we promote healing, restorative justice, repairing harm, and humanity, I'm happy with that. That's what it's about. But right now, it's time to heal. That's what Joe Biden said. It's just time to heal. And I must admit, when the election was over, I felt a dark cloud was lifted off the United States. I felt it in my inner spirit, I must say. Brother Raza?
There's that question of uncertainty that lingered for 4 days, I think a little too long for a lot of people. So I think I would have to say that echo is probably sentimented, or the sentiment's probably echoed coast to coast. We'll have to see, like we talked about when we started this programming, there's legal challenges coming up. It's not like the cloud is 100% gone away, but it now might be a little bit of a dark mist as opposed to a whole thunderous storm upon us. You've been listening to Tio Hardiman and Raza Siddiqui on Against the Grain. We look forward to your calls. We are all part of this community, right, Tio? I mean, this is all of us. This is you, me. This is the callers. This is the chance to dialogue.
Yes.
And you might not always agree with us. I think we're not always going to agree with them, but we'll always discuss with you.
Well, that's why you had me on the show with you as well. I've been going against the grain throughout my life in a positive way. I just want to say that. And that's what life is all about. You cannot just be a yes man all the time. This is WCPT 820 AM Progressive Radio, and we need progressive thoughts out there, because if you continue to just do the same thing, expecting different results, you're not going to get nowhere. This is what you call important conversations, digging deeper and delving into these topics. When a lot of people are scared to speak their minds, we can speak our minds. That's when you go against the grain all the way. And speaking truth to power is very important. Very important.
With conversation comes power, with power, the power to change, right? The power to at least start that dialogue that maybe can create a sort of change that we maybe need to go forward and bring us all together. Thank you again for joining us. Tio Hardiman, Mr. CeaseFire Hardiman, Raza Siddiqui, Against the Grain. Thank you. See you next week.
All right. Peace and blessings, everybody.